I want to tell you a secret. I'm building the membership I would want as a writer. Quick story for you. Although I spend a lot of time as a book coach, I'm also a fiction writer myself. And as I was trying to write my novel alone, I realized I was always letting it fall to the bottom of the list. I would often get stuck on or overlook story problems because I was too close to the story. And at the end of the day, I felt lonely, like I was the only one struggling with my writing. So I looked to join a group myself. I first looked locally and found a group of awesome writers that would meet once a month to give feedback. At first, this sounded great, but then I quickly realized I was spending more time giving other people feedback than working on my own writing. Sometimes I couldn't even make the in-person meetings, but I still felt obligated to give feedback because they provided that for me. So although this was a nice community of people and I loved connecting with other writers, it ended up doing the opposite of what I wanted, which was allowing me space and time to show up for my own writing. Okay, so that didn't work. So I joined a membership that offered an online community and the chance to ask specific story questions on group calls. And while it was awesome once again to be surrounded by writers, I ran into more issues with this group. My schedule is inconsistent, like most people, and live calls were hard to make, so I felt guilty for not showing up for what I was paying for. Then when I did make the calls, you had to line up to ask your question, and the time you got was variable based on how many other people had questions. I got the sense that I wasn't getting the real support that I was looking for. Not to mention the group was for all fiction genres. So a lot of the group spent time talking about romance and thrillers, once again leaving me feeling a bit lonely working on my creepy horror novel. So I set out with the goal of curating the exact space and support that I was seeking as a writer. And I've called it the Otherworldly Writing Room. After working with a ton of writers individually, there's a particular pattern that shows up. Those who reach their goals fastest and have the most fun getting there have the 3 C's backing them up: clarity, consistency, and community. Clarity means you have support in seeing both your story and yourself as a writer more clearly. You're not left trying to diagnose every story problem alone. You have someone helping you understand where you're stuck, what you're already doing well, and what skill to build next. When you don't know what's wrong, or you do know what's wrong and don't know how to fix it, it's really easy to put the book away for later, and then realize all of a sudden months have passed you by. Sometimes writers need support from someone who can help them see what's actually happening on the page, why the scene feels flat, why exactly the middle is muddy, or why the emotional arc isn't landing yet. That kind of feedback helps you get unstuck, but it also helps you become a better writer. You start learning what to look for in your own scenes, chapters, characters, structure, and emotional beats. When you understand your story and write yourself more clearly, you're able to keep moving forward and actually finish writing your book. Consistency means your writing practice is built around real life. Not an imaginary life where you have 4 uninterrupted hours each day, an endless amount of energy, and no other personal or professional obligations to attend to. A lot of writers think consistency has to look like writing every day, or only writing when you can be in a certain room without interruptions. And if they can't do that, then clearly they're not a writer. This isn't true at all, and there are so many success stories out there to prove it. The reality is that consistency can be much more flexible than that. Writing schedules and processes are going to look different for every writer, but the key part that makes a writer successful at achieving their goals is they keep coming back. Consistency thrives when you're encouraged to prioritize your writing and when the support is designed around your real life. That's why I wanted the space I created to be asynchronous. You shouldn't have to miss out on support because you couldn't make a live call. And you shouldn't have to build your whole writing life around someone else's calendar. And the cool part is the focus actually stays on your story. You're not splitting the time between trying to get feedback, giving feedback to everyone else, and somehow also working on your own novel. And you'll be surrounded by other writers who are in the same boat, trying to make progress, trying to prioritize their dreams, and trying to finish these big, complicated genre stories in the middle of real life. Which brings me to the next kind of support writers need, which is community. Community means you don't have to carry your novel alone. You have fellow writers beside you who understand both the joy and the difficulty of finishing a book, and they are actively working toward the same goal. Trust me when I say having writer friends is virtually priceless. When you're working on a novel by yourself, it's easy to feel like you're the only one taking forever, wrestling with the messy middle, doubting your characters, or trying to care about your dream while also managing everything else in your life. But when you're connected to other writers, you get to see that other people are doing the hard work too. They're showing up imperfectly, they're figuring things out, and they're making progress in consistent, real ways. I have seen this be immensely helpful for myself personally and the group of writer friends I've established. Plus, writing should be as fun as possible. I genuinely mean that. And maybe you've caught on by now, but the Otherworldly Writing Room is specifically for writers of adult fantasy, sci-fi, and horror. I can't tell you how motivating it is to be surrounded by people who actually want to talk about magic systems, monsters, strange planets, prophecies, cursed objects, and all the wonderfully specific genre details that make your story feel alive. It's fun to have someone say, "Wait, that's so cool," or "What if the curse worked like this instead?" Community helps with the hard parts, but it also helps you remember that writing can be joyful, playful, and deeply connecting. So if you're feeling stuck right now, ask yourself the question: which kind of support am I missing? If you don't know what the next step is, you may need clarity. If you know what to do, but you keep disappearing from the draft, you may need consistency. And if you feel alone, discouraged, or like no one really gets your book, you may need community. That's why I created the Otherworldly Writing Room. The goal is simple. You actually make progress on your novel, and you're encouraged to prioritize it. For more information about the membership, head to xplovecat.com/membership. Depending on when you watch this, I may have the membership open for new members, or you might get the chance to join the waitlist for when I open up next. Before you invest in any writing support, ask yourself, will this help me come back to the book more often, understand the story more clearly, and feel less alone while I'm writing it? That's what I'm building with the Otherworldly Writing Room. A place for clarity, consistency, and community while you write your novel and finally finish that book. Happy writing.